Hi. In my action research, I wanted to investigate the premise that a messy desk is an indicator of increased creativity. The current state of research in this area consists of two papers. There's one by Vose, who found a correlation between a messy workplace and creativity, and a paper by Manzi, who denied that any such correlation existed between creativity and a messy workplace. And he specifically references the Vose paper in his paper. So what I did is I created a test by asking two questions. I said, how messy is your desk? And rank it from 1 to 5, low clutter to high clutter. Write down as many uses for a paper clip as you can in 5 minutes. And then send me a picture. Now I wanted the picture because I wanted to see how they would rate their desks and make sure they didn't give it any rating that was like really overboard or underboard. So what this was is a classic use of the alternate uses test, which I scored on the 4 categories. And 4 categories of the alternate uses test are fluency, which is the number of uses of the item that they come up with. The originality is how unusual those uses are. Flexibility, the range of ideas across all the different domains. And elaboration, the level of detail of the idea. So when I did the scoring, I noticed a really interesting correlation in the data. The fluency and originality scores tended to kind of be the same, and more about that later. The Manzi paper specified that the relationship between a messy desk and greater creativity in the Vose paper was false. So I read and compared the papers, and the thing is that the premises of the two papers are not really the same. So if you read the Vose paper, she states, the cues of disorder can produce creativity because they inspire breaking free of convention, which doesn't sound very scientific to me. Manzi's premise was that a cluttered work environment would interfere with executive functioning, reduce top-down control, and increasing access to a broader semantic network, thus allowing participants to generate more creative ideas, which seemed to me to be kind of overly scientific. So I couldn't really understand how he came to the conclusion he did, how he could say the correlation was false if the premise wasn't the same. So I decided to do some more research, and I found a paper by a last name Sylvia. And what he did is he came up with some ideas for alternate ways of scoring the results of the alternate uses test. So Sylvia had actually pointed out, when I read the Sylvia paper, I noticed that he mentioned the same correlation that I had seen before. So I thought that was good. So a couple of things he does in there, and one of the more interesting things is as part of the creative test, he has the participants pick their best 2 creative uses, which now gives you a bit more accurate assessment of creativity, and not so much how many ideas they have, but the quality of the ideas. He also suggested that creativity be subjectively scored for a more accurate rating of the subject's creativity. So the current AUT uses objective information to measure, and he's saying you should review the creativity subjectively, and that if you have 2 or 3 raters statistically, you're going to get reliable scores. And the way he says to assess the validity of the scores is to use something called a personality test, and then what you do is you correlate the openness of the experience with that, and that should correlate with the creativity rating. So he had a lot of interesting information about scoring. So I came to the conclusion that I thought would be to do the original test over, but instead of using the traditional AUT scoring mechanism, but to use Sylvia's scoring mechanisms, which would get you results that were based on creativity, a premise of creativity that's already been established in existing literature, rather than just sort of what did she say? Cues of disorder can produce creativity because they inspire breaking free of convention. So something more that would be, acceptable in a study. So what I found up from this is I didn't really expect to come up with what I found, and I found this experience to be really valuable and really interesting, and it came out to be a lot better than I thought it would be.